News has learned California's Attorney General Javier Becerra has made good on his promise and appealed U.S. District Judge Roger Benitez's ruling on the state's high-capacity magazine law to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. In a strongly worded opinion, Judge Benitez blocked the ban of magazines holding more than 10 rounds from going into effect. He made clear that the Second Amendment is not a second-class amendment, that the ban takes away people's private property without compensation and turns law-abiding citizens into what he called outlaws. In this exclusive report, Virginia Duncan, one of the plaintiffs in this case, told me that Judge Benitez recognized clearly why she is in this fight, that it is about the right of self-defense, including the right for her and hundreds of thousands of gun owners to personally choose to own these magazines to protect themselves and their families. Take a look.
I would have given Judge Benitez a big hug, and said thank you so very much. You have no idea how many people you have just saved from becoming felons.
Finally, somebody in California with common sense. Finally, someone that sees the Constitution for what it really is and followed the law, which is what judges are supposed to do. They're not supposed to have their own agenda, and we see that all the time. Look at the Ninth Circuit in California. They have their own agenda.
He is a rare breed, absolutely. This has been such a losing battle for us in California with our very liberal legislators. But clearly, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to restrictive gun laws.
He got it. He understood it. He came down on the side that understood what the Supreme Court was saying in Heller and McDonald. So he first recognized that magazines are an integral part of a firearm.
To me, it's a basic Second Amendment argument. If you're entitled to have a gun, you should be entitled to have all of the accessories intended to be used with that gun.
It is my choice for self-defense, and the Second Amendment doesn't state you can only have a magazine that holds 10 rounds. It just states that you have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to bear arms. Who are you to tell me that I can't have that?
It's absurd to limit the numbers. If 2 or 3 bad guys kick your door in to do a home invasion robbery, how many rounds is it going to take to stop that threat? There's no magic number. You shoot until you stop the threat, but I certainly don't want to be standing there with an empty gun saying I didn't have enough. It's not going to end well for you.
But you've got the anti-gunners that keep coming out and saying this ban is about public safety.
Large capacity magazine clip ban, yes, will save lives. Hardly an assault on the Second Amendment.
They're living in their bubble in Sacramento. They just slap the word safe or safety in the title, and these initiatives and bills that have nothing to do with improving public safety get passed.
So what are you doing? You're making criminals out of good, honest citizens who just want to protect themselves and live their lives. Knowing that the bad guys are still going to be armed, that in itself is criminal.
It is leaving us defenseless, yes, it is. I honestly think that our criminals have more rights than we do.
Treating ammunition like we do guns, I think, is good public policy.
Judge Benitez saw through that ruse, and he scrutinized all their evidence. And
He called it inconclusive. He said it was a potpourri.
it was ridiculous. He said, you can't just come in here, government, and throw this junk science on the table, you know, a Mother Jones article, and say that justifies taking away people's rights. And so he issued the injunction to stop that law from going into effect.
Their argument is no good. And the truth of the matter is they want our guns.
It's personal for me. I am a prosecutor handling very, very serious crimes against really dangerous people, and I'd say 100% of my perspective comes from meeting victims of crime and hoping that you can somehow fix something that's absolutely unfixable.
Right behind this ban on magazines, one of the legislators in Los Angeles introduced a bill that would remove the enhancement for a felon who's committing a crime with a gun. Obviously, what that legislator is saying is the criminals deserve the guns, but not the good, honest citizens who need to protect themselves. This is crazy and it's got to stop.
California can set the tone for the rest of the nation.
They're decriminalizing true crime.
They are reducing felonies to misdemeanors. They are making it easier for criminals to get out of jail on bail.
The law enforcement community is at its wit's end. That is why we see this depolicing occurring, because their hands are tied. Crime is going up, and I really fear for the public safety.
So I said, well, if I'm going to live here, I'm going to do something about it. I grew up around firearms. My dad was in the military, and he was also San Diego PD Reserve. And he taught me how to handle them safely. What I find rewarding is teaching others. I teach the kids. I have a hunter ed class, and they're learning how to be self-reliant and learning about wildlife management, and at the same time, how to handle firearms safely.
You also teach women.
Yes, and as soon as they pull the trigger a few times, they turn their head and look at you, and they go, I like this, and they say, I can do this, and they want to teach their kids. To me, that's a big payoff. When I'm working the gun show, many people have said, I don't own any firearms, but I don't believe that they should be taking our Second Amendment right away. And they join the California Rifle and Pistol Association simply because they believe in it. That says a lot.
Gun safety initiatives have traditionally been very successful in California.
Judge Benitez, in his decision, basically said what this magazine ban is a form of confiscation.
Well, it is. It absolutely is. It's a taking of property of a private citizen without any form of compensation.
This is government confiscation with a fake mustache. You have to either take them to a dealer or take them out of state or turn them into police.
How many magazines have you?
Zero. Not one magazine's been turned into this county, and it's not a priority of this sheriff's office. We're not going to go out and knock on the door and say, hey, do you have a magazine? We have many more important things to do.
Judge Benitez, in his decision, made very clear the Second Amendment is not a second-class amendment.
You can't pick and choose the pieces you like and ignore the rest.
The Constitution is our roadmap, and when we start writing our own roadmap, we're in trouble.
This debate that we're having about whether or not the Second Amendment is going to have teeth really is part of a larger debate about where this country's going, what freedom means, the values that we're going to have.
Because Judge Benitez said what he said, I think there's a Supreme Court waiting for this. I really do.
I feel like I'm bailing a leaky boat. And this is where it comes down to our citizens again. You've got to be heard. People got to speak up.
Join the fight, because if they do, we'll be a lot bigger and a lot stronger. If nobody does, then the opposing team wins.
Send a message to the National Rifle Association. We've had enough. Enough of their rhetoric and their bullying and their scare tactics.
If it wasn't the NRA that was stepping up and saying, no, we're going to fight this, they would overrun us. There's no question about it.